All right, so we're going to go over multiplying and dividing decimals today. And so we'll move through multiplying decimals pretty quickly because I feel that we mostly have that one down. So the first one I'm going to do is 8 times 3/10. So remember that in multiplying we do not have to line up by the decimal points. So here's 3/10 times 8. And so I'm going to pretend like that decimal point's not there right now. I'm just going to multiply 8 times 3, and I know that that's 24. Carry that. 0 times 8 is 0, plus the 2, that's 24. Now I'm going to recall that I have a decimal point here, and I only have one number after the decimal, so I'm going to move the decimal point over from its kind of normal invisible spot over one spot to the left. So the product of 0.3 and 8 is 2 and 4/10. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Now I have 2 and 8/10 times 12. Same kind of setup. I didn't have to line up by decimal points. I'm going to ignore this one for now and multiply like normal if I was multiplying two-digit numbers together. So 8 times 2 is 16. 2 times 2 is 4, plus my carried 1 is 5. Got my little happy holder going on here. 1 times 8 is 8, and 2 times 1 is 2. I'm going to add these up. Now I'm going to recall my decimal. Again, it's just one spot, so I'm only going to move my decimal point over from its little invisible spot there once. So 2 and 8/10 times 12 equals 33 and 6/10. Two more, getting a little bigger with our decimal places. This one is 35 hundredths times 15 hundredths. So again, I'm not required to line these up by decimal, but these are the same, they have the exact same amount of places, so they happen to line up. 5 times 5 is 25. 3 times 5, 15, plus 2 is 17, carry the 1. 0 times 5 is 0 plus the 1, happy holder. 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 1 is 3. I'm marking those numbers out to make sure I don't use them again. 0 times 1 is 0. Now, I know that this is a 0, and I know anything times 0 is 0, but I want to make sure that I know how to multiply a 3-digit number. If this happened to be a different number, we're going to go ahead and just multiply it. When I come down here, I'm going to add 2 happy holders to hold the places of the ones place and tens place, and then begin multiplying the hundredths place. 0 times 5 is 0, 0 times 3 is 0, 0 times 0 is 0. Bonus points if you could tell me what property that is of multiplication. 0 times anything is 0. Alright, let's add this up. There's 5, 13, 5, 0, and 0. Alright, now let's look at the amount of places we've got here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 total decimal places. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so the product of 35 hundredths times 15 hundredths is 0.0535. Alright, so let's move on. This is all multiplying decimals. We'll move on to multiplying and dividing by powers of 10, which I feel pretty comfortable with, but I wanted to just throw in here just as a review. So first one I've got for you is 6 and 32 hundredths times 10 to the first, which I hope we remember that 10 to the first equals 10. Remember what 10 to the second equals? It's 100. 10 to the third is 1,000. And 10 to the fourth is 10,000. Okay, so remember that when we're multiplying by powers of 10, all we have to do is move the decimal over however many zeros are in that number. So 10 to the power of 1, there's 1 0, or yes, 1 0. So I'm going to move my decimal to the right one time. So 6.32 times 10 to the first equals 63 and 2/10. Let's try that with a larger one. So I have 10 and 672 thousandths times 10 to the fourth power. So that, move this to the right 4 places. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I had to move that on that fourth one. I don't have a number there, so I have to attach a 0. So there's 10, 0, 6, 7, 2, and then I have to put a 0. Then I need to go back and add my commas. So the answer is 106,720. So let's do this. When we're multiplying decimals, we move to the right. The opposite though, if we were dividing, we're going to move our decimal to the left. So if we divide 10 and 2/10 by 100, there's 2 zeros there, I'm going to move my decimal place to the left 2 places. So my quotient is 102 thousandths. And one more example for this is 43 and 167 thousandths divided by 10 to the first. So all I have to do is move this decimal place once to the left. So it's 4.3167. Okay, don't let the powers of 10 confuse you. If you see 100, you can count zeros. If you see 10 to the power of 1, it's just 1 0. Or 10 to the fourth is 4 zeros. Alright, let's move to division. That's the one we need to spend the most time on. So, we get dividing decimals. Okay. So the first one I'll show you is dividing a decimal by a whole number. So we've got 68 and 8/10 divided by 4. If you remember, the first thing we do if when we have a decimal in the dividend, we bring that decimal straight up on top of our little house. And then we divide as normal. 4 can go into 6 one time, so 4 times 1 is 4. Subtract those 2, I've got 2 left over. And then 4 cannot go into 2, so I'm going to bring down that 8. 4 can go into 28 6 times. 4 times 6 is 28. There's 0 left over there. And then I can bring down this last digit, which is an 8. 4 can go into 8 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8. And remember that we don't have remainders in division, so if this was a number, we'd have to keep going. But it's not. So our quotient is 16.2. 68 and 8/10 divided by 4 equals 16 and 2/10. Moving on, I'm going to have a decimal divided by a decimal. So I have 9 and 5/10 divided by 1 and 9/10. Now the different thing about dividing a decimal by a decimal is that you can't divide with a decimal as your divisor. So in order to fix that, all we have to do is move our decimal place out to make this number a whole number. And what I have to follow for the dividend is I have to move it the same amount of times that I moved it over here. So I just moved 1.9, I moved my decimal over once, so now I have 19, and so I'm going to move my decimal over once in this digit. So now I have 95 divided by 19. Okay, now I have actually a whole number divided by a whole number, but I'm going to take this decimal straight up again and I'm going to divide. 19 can't go into 9, but it can go into 95. Okay, and I tried 19 times 3 first, and that wasn't enough. So I did 19 times 5 and got 95. And that leaves me with nothing left over. So my quotient for this is actually only 5. I attached a 0 there after. But if you were to write the quotient, it's just 5. And then next, we got 83 and 2/10 divided by 8. So that's decimal divided by a whole number. Let's bring that decimal up. 8 can go into 8 one time. And then bring down to 3. Now, here's an issue. 8 cannot go into 3. 8 can go into 3 0 times. So I need to put that 0 up there and multiply. 8 times 0 is 0. And subtract. So I still have 3. Remember, this is that tricky part that's gotten a lot of us recently, is when we cannot divide into this. And in order to be able to do that, I have to remember to put the 0 here, multiply it out, and I end up with the same number again. But now I can bring down the next number, which is a 2. And 8 can go into 32 4 times evenly. Okay, so your quotient there, 83 and 2/10 divided by 8, is 10 and 4/10. And then I have 2 more. Alright, so for number 4, I've got 3.822 divided by 400. So I've got to move over this decimal place 2 times in order to make this a whole number. I have to move it over 2 times in this number to make it even. Remember, whatever I do here, I have to do here. So if I were to rewrite this, it would look like this. So I'm going to pull my decimal point straight up, and I'm going to begin dividing. 4 can't go into 3, but it can go into 38 9 times. 4 times 9 is 36. 2 left over. 4 can't go into 2, but it can go into 22. 5 times. Again, kind of same thing. 4 can't go into 2, but it can go into 22. 5 times. Now, it looks like it's going to be the same thing again, but I don't have another 2 to pull down. But what I can do is attach a 0 and pull it down. 4 can go into 20 5 times evenly. So that's where we end it since we have a 0. So there we go. Alright, now this last one is a little tricky just because it kind of visually is kind of odd. So we have incorrectly. So we have 0.07, so 7/100 divided by 1.4. Now this one, got to move my decimal point over just the once. And I can then bring it straight up. So now I have 7/10 divided by 14. Now 14 cannot go into 7. It can go 0 times into 7. So 14 times 0 is 0. So I still have this 7 here that I have to figure out how to divide with 14. And if I attach a 0 here, bring it on down, 14 can go into 70. And I have tried 5. 14 times 5 is 70. So there's my 0. So you end up with 5/100 as your quotient. That one was kind of tricky. Alright. Alright, so I hope that you have good luck on your homework this weekend. We do have a test on Tuesday, so please make sure that you do that homework, you review these steps, and email me if you have any questions that you can't figure out. Have a good weekend.